Welcome back to the Unplayable Lies PGA podcast, brought to you by MajorsChallenge.com. And we are here with DFS Army VIP Blake Turner, aka TUGolfer, who is our first two-time Listener League champion. So that's big time over there, buddy, right?
Did it.
Yeah.
Got two of them.
You cleaned up, too. You cleaned up. Let's take a look at this lineup, because I talked about it a little on the pod earlier. So there you are in first, and I'm all the way down here in 11th. I was actually up to 8th at one point. You made the run kind of on the last day, but the one thing that I was really interested in was the decision to go Kisner here in Group A. What kind of led to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think Kiz has been playing good golf recently. He's another guy that I'm probably going to look at this week.
Yeah,
coming up
sure.
at the Northern Trust, right? But he's been playing good golf recently. I think it gave me a little bit enough variance. He makes a lot of cuts, and especially Majors Challenge, like you gotta have a high percentage of your guys. So wanted to throw him in here, added a little flavor, and paid off for me.
Yeah, I really like it. Like I said, if I look at mine, like we had the same core, except I went Brooks and went with the stud and got burned. And let's see, Brooks I got to imagine a lot of guys played Brooks. Let me see here. You can scroll down. You got to go way down there to find Brooksy this week. Yeah, 12 guys. So almost half the field played Brooks. Yeah. And that's huge, right? This is the first week I think that we've had where somebody with the least amount of cuts didn't win. So Ben had only one cut, but you had two guys cut, and really, kind of clutched up there with Bud Colley, another guy that I thought was a great call on your part.
Yeah, and Bud was somebody who played well the week before, and that's always something that I'm looking at whenever I'm creating whether it's DFS or Majors Challenge. Who's playing good golf right now? As a golfer myself, like I know that the game comes and goes. Yeah. So I always want to play guys that are hot. And last time I was on the pod, I mentioned, hey, you got to make stands. One of my stands is I don't play Brooks unless it's in a major. So I didn't play Brooks last week, and it paid off for me. So.
Right. And I think that's, and maybe just expand on that. Like, I think that's something that we as DFS players don't do enough of. And I'm going to be guilty of it this week too, but just playing guys who are playing well, right? It seems like somebody wins and the next week, everybody fades them.
Yeah. I like top 25 is typically where I draw the line of
Sure.
Like if somebody having a good week.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess depending on salary, right? Like if you have a 6K guy that makes a lot of cuts, and he's probably playing some decent golf for him, but top 25 is good. Top 10 is great. Top 5 is elite. Right. So those are kind of my benchmarks. That's the first thing I look at every week before I dive into the RS and course history and all of that is who's playing good right now.
And then you use my boy Chris Baker there in the last slot. I was big on him this week, and it really paid off. He paid me off big time in Showdown too. Yeah,
and I got to thank you for that one, because he's probably a guy I was under my radar, and then made the cheat sheet lineup, and you were big on him. So hey, I
just played well, right?
Let's ride what Josh is saying. Yeah.
So obviously, big win here on Majors Challenge, but you've been a DFS Army VIP for a while now. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's been about 2 years.
Sure.
That I've been a DFS Army sub, and then a sports bet Army, or it beat the bookie back when it was whenever I joined. But yeah, sports bet Army sub for almost, I guess a little bit less than a year now. But I love the tools, resources you guys give guys like me to give us a shot.
Well, and I think that's, I always say it, like the best value in DFS, in my opinion, is that, you're not only like a lot of sites you're paying $50 a month just for golf or just for, you know what I mean? Like You get everything. So is there any other sports that you seem to dive into on the DFS side outside of golf too?
Yeah, I was actually in a DM with the Geek earlier about MMA lineups from this past weekend, and so I think what him and Sniper and Marley have really been able to do over the MMA world is adding a lot of good content there. I'm actually I'm sweating out a basketball lineup right now that we're making a charge up the standings in. So we'll see how that goes. And then I mean, golf and football. I mean, I can't wait for football to get started so I can start sinking my teeth back into.
I know. I'm like
stacks there, and
I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in the not having preseason. I felt like that is just like a clutch moneymaker for my bankroll. You know what I mean? And not having that this year is going to be tough.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I think it also gives you visibility into the players before the season too. Yeah.
I was just having a conversation with somebody, and obviously we're on a golf pod here talking about NFL, but like how important D special teams is going to be these first couple of weeks, because special teams guys aren't going to be going live like in preseason, and you're going to see a defense score 35 points, or maybe run back 2 touchdowns, which could be huge.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is going to be huge. I mean, and I was. Again, not to go too off topic, but just watching the first episode of Hard Knocks and like all the changes of training and all of that, it's going to be interesting those first couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm big. Like as a teacher and coach, like I love like the COVID side of the hard. I know some people are complaining online about like, hey, there's too much on this. Like I love seeing what they're doing. I think that's exciting. So have you dug into any Northern Trust stuff this week? We're at TPC Boston, which like I talked about it a little bit earlier, is like one of my, like that's a course from Tiger Woods 2008. Like I love playing. I love TPC Boston.
Yeah, I've dug into a little bit, and this year it's a little tricky because you can't just rely on last year's numbers because it was played a different course, right? It was played in Jersey. So, and TPC Boston's actually a course that I played about this time last year.
Oh, fun.
For the first time, so that was pretty cool. So getting to see these guys play a course that I'm somewhat familiar with, and I had a chance to play adds an extra layer to it. Just like I said, I'm riding players who are playing well right now. An interesting guy. So you've mentioned some of the folks that you're high on. I think Adam Scott's going to play pretty well this week.
I'm big on Scott.
Yeah, I like where he's at. I think Rahm is probably, in my opinion, the best pay up option. I know you were up on him too. I think Cantlay gets a little bit of a price break this week, and I think he's still like he's almost locked in for a top 20. I feel so. I think he's an interesting one that I haven't heard anybody talking about. So I might consider as a GPP pivot is Harold Varner. He's been playing good golf. I haven't dug into the RS to see how he rates with the course yet, but somebody I'm going to keep my eye on.
Like you said, like, it's just that playing good golf. And I put him in my my pack of first round leader bets for over at Sportsbet Army, because like the guy just gets off to a hot start every single week. And he's such an elite iron player that, he tends to fade on the weekends, but just getting to the weekend is huge. I mean, we look at the 6-6 percentage every week being around, 5 or less. I think a guy like Harold Varner makes a lot of sense, and Cantlay too, right? Like if you're building a cash lineup, like you can just start with Cantlay and go down from there. Yeah,
no. And then the only other guy I'll mention here is, and I mentioned him on the pod, and it was in my winning lineup last week. Kiz is probably a guy that I'm going to be overweight on this week. I think he's at $7,600 this week. So workable into lineups while still being able to fit in the studs.
Yeah. And like looking at as a guy who obviously played this course at like a similar time last year, what any takeaways from when you played it?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. It's not the shortest course, but you have to be strategic off the tee. So I know last time I was on here, you and I talked about Bryson and kind of fading Bryson and being so worked up over hitting the ball 400 yards. Like
he said it again at the press conference today.
Yeah, I don't exactly. So I don't think I'm fading. I probably will have 0% ownership in Bryson this week, and I'll take my chances with the Cantlays, with the Roms. Might have a little bit of JT in there, but I'll fall on that sword if it bites me.
Yeah, me too. And that's in my research on looking at the course, it felt like it's a course where obviously you got to be strategic off the tee, and you got to not only just hit it in the fairway, but hit it in the right side of the fairway to attack a lot of these greens. I mean, whether it's like the big mounds that they have on the sides, or just not blocking yourself out a lot here seems to be kind of key.
Yeah. Well, and I think it'll be interesting. Like they can get tricky with some pin placements there too. So especially when you get to a next level of golf where you're looking at your angle of attack into the greens, not only to eliminate some of the trouble that they have, but in order to give yourself true looks at birdie, you have to be coming at it from a different angle into some of these fairways into some of these greens. So with it being at a different course this year and a little bit different setup, and it was the Dell the last time that these guys played
Sure.
in 2018. I think they might put a little spice on how they set the course up, especially being first week of playoffs. So I'm
Right.
excited to watch.
Yeah, me too. I think it's going to be a great week. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on. Good luck this week, and hopefully we'll chat again next week.
Absolutely. Thanks,
All
Josh.
right. Thanks, buddy.